Computer. Okay, good morning, Dorothy. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning. Good morning. This amazing times right now. Holy Toledo, huh?
Yeah, really, really, it really is. Universally in numerology, we're in a one personal month, which I explained last night to you, and that brings on independence and courage and pioneering new things, new beginnings, new opportunities. And now we have Mercury Retrograde stuck right in the middle of all of that. So I'm very interested in to see how he's going to play his role with us in July.
So let me, I know people don't know not necessarily know astrology. Is there a way I can share my screen? Hit share, right?
Yeah.
See if I can get that going, and I'll share that. Okay. So here's, I want that. There it is.
There you go. I got it.
I'll move the window away from the share application. Sometimes it doesn't like this window. Can you see the screen, the big wheel, or not?
I saw it, and now it's gone.
Oh, all right. It won't let me share. We had this problem before. So,
there, I can see it now, Dorothy.
Okay. So you can see the little wheel?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I made a big one, but you can't, for some reason, it doesn't like that pop-up window, so we won't do it. So this is what's going on right now, and I know people can't really see a lot about what that looks like, but really, we do have Mercury retrograde, but it is not. It happens 3 times a year. We've had this conversation before, but the point of what's really creates a little bit of slowing down of motion, so to speak, or creates what people think is troublesome, is just the days that it has a parent of no motion. The planets never go in a backwards motion. It's all an optical illusion from where we are in the solar system compared to where Mercury is and the sun. And it just looks like it's slowing down. And so, it's not, and it looks like it's going retrograde, and it's not. We actually had more of an extreme feeling with the planet Mercury in its latitude, so where it was in the solar system compared to the celestial equator. And that was back in the last 2 weeks of June and into even this period right now, the day that it went retrograde on July 8th. So the point is like there are periods when Mercury's movement is actually more extreme than when it's retrograde.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's just pop astrology. Pop astrology has gotten a hold of Mercury retrograde and made it a big thing. And while the important pieces of Mercury retrograde, when it's retrograde, and we have other planets retrograde too, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and Neptune. Let me make sure. Yes,
it's kind of like numerology in that it's not just one thing we're looking at. We're looking at the entire picture.
So with Mercury retrograde, yes, I mean that is it's significant enough for enough people to make it so, because if that's what you believe, then that's what's going to happen.
Most definitely, yeah.
That and to me, that's it. So if you're making it so, if that's what you're focusing on, and you're focusing on things always going wrong during Mercury retrograde, you're going to prove yourself right, because the universe will answer you.
Right, that's correct.
So do you want 3 weeks of, rough time? Go for it. Have fun.
Right.
I'm not going
there with you, right?
I'm not going with you. I mean, yesterday, I made a boo-boo. I had an appointment for 9:30. I thought it was 10. We agreed a bunch of times it would be 9:30. And even when the notice came up on my phone, I'm like, that appointment's at 10. Why is it telling me 9:30? I show up at 10. We have our appointment. I leave, and I realize I was supposed to be there half hour earlier. She didn't say anything. What a mistake I made. And I'm like, so apologizing. Oh my God, I hope I didn't make you late because I was late.
Yeah, I hear you. We're only human, right?
It happens. Don't give it so much negative weight. What we have going on stronger than anything is that we are smack today, July 9th, we're smack in the middle of the eclipse now. So we're halfway between the new moon eclipse that we had on July 2nd and the full moon eclipse we'll have on July 16th. We're right in the middle right now. Today is that day. And so when we have that, this is where we can just feel, they call it the sun gives a wobble. It's astronomical. And it's this little thing right down here when the sun meets the north node, and that's just where things come together in the sky. That's the alignment of the eclipse. And since we are in an eclipse period, what we're doing these 2 weeks between July 2nd and July 16th is important. That's my current weekly forecast that I've posted out there. So you ladies can go check that out. It's free right on YouTube and from my website. So what do we use? How do we use the energies of what's going on right now? So go listen to that and you'll get more info. But that's the big thing. That's just a piece of the big thing, because we also have Saturn and Pluto coming together in their conjunction. They won't meet up exactly until next January at the next pair of eclipses, which are the end of December, early January 2020. And that is creating a lot of fear. It's bringing a lot of fear to the surface. And so Mercury retrograde is the least of our worries. Just take your time. Go slow.
Right. Now you said that Mercury retrograde is being influenced by Gemini.
No, Mercury. Well, no, I'm a Gemini. It's my Gemini-ness. The Mercury rules the sign of Gemini, but it will always have that flair. It will always have that communication quality to it, because Mercury is the ruler of Gemini and Virgo. Okay. The big thing is today they are also conjunct. Mercury and Mars are in a conjunction. They've been together for quite a few weeks, but they're really exact right now. They're both at 4 degrees of Leo. And so Mercury is backing. It got really close, didn't get exactly exact, but got really close to Mars, and then it's backing off in its retrograde motion, and it will come back together again, I think sometime the end of September, but by then they'll be in Virgo, I think. Something like that for another day. But Mercury in Leo conjunct Mars in Leo, what is in squaring Uranus. It's just, there is so much going on. It's not just Mercury retrograde. What can we do with this in a positive sense? Be creative. Speak up. Say what you need to say, or write it down, whatever it is, because Mercury is all about communicating. Leo is about being creative. So find the creative projects that you want to work on.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Right. So now I was always under the impression that Mercury retrograde had a tendency to disrupt communication.
It can slow things down. It wants us to really just think things through.
Yeah.
It wants us to process things. In a way, here's a way to think of it too. Mercury is retrograde the same amount of time every year, a third of the time. And that equals, for most people, the same amount of time that we sleep.
Oh, yeah.
So think about it. If you're constantly going, and your mind is so active and you're so busy and you never stop, and maybe 2 hours of sleep a night, or you don't sleep for a couple of days in a row, you know how dysfunctional you'll get? Your brain won't think clearly. We can use the energy in that way as well. Think of that Mercury retrograde. It's just a period where we can just slow down to rest and relax and redo things. Does it mess up communication? Communication gets messed up all the time.
Right.
I don't say it. I'm not going to blame it on that.
Yeah.
It messes up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even like I told you, I even got the notice on my phone. I put the notice on my phone. You have an appointment at 9:30.
Right.
I was like, why is it saying that?
Right. But sometimes there's energy that makes that a little bit worse. I mean, I'm not focusing on the negative. I don't want to focus on the negative. But I know that I called a friend and I said, Mercury's in retrograde. So just be really careful how you say your words, and make sure you hear what other people are saying.
Listening
to conclusions. Just really focus on it. If you got a question, make sure you ask them about it.
And that's always really good good way to communicate with people anyways, but you're right. But we don't do that. So it is important that we spend more time listening, answering the question, or responding to what the person said, not formulating the answer in the way you think that whatever they're going to ask you. Just actually listen.
Right. Yeah.
Very important.
Slow down and listen. That's good.
Yeah.
And now, does Mercury retrograde, does it change, the influences of it change throughout, like the next time we see it? I don't know when it comes up again.
Yes, yep, in 3 months. It'll be up in three and a half, 4 months. It does, because right now, this retrograde, let me get my ephemeris out. This retrograde is in the sign of Leo and Cancer. So when Mercury does back into the sign of Cancer, which will be like July 20th, then the feel of this energy will shift. So right now, while it is retrograde, and whenever it is in the sign of Leo, it's where we're loud and we're gregarious, and there's a lot of news, a lot of sensationalizing news. Those are, it's fiery, the fiery energy of Leo. It's blowing that up a bit, so it gets bigger. Okay. But as retrograde, but you know, and again, a positive way is to use it in positive Leo ways, which is be creative. What am I passionate about? What do I want to share with the world? Get out there and start sharing. Even though the planet's retrograde, that's not I'm not overly concerned with that, especially since it squares Uranus. And the square to Uranus is always about pushing us to our limits so we can grow. Yeah. So it's really helpful. So you're correct. So when Mercury is retrograde in different times of the year in different zodiac signs, the flair of it is a little bit different. So when it does move back into the sign of Cancer, again on July 20th, the feeling goes back to Mercury in Cancer, which means Mercury in a more, we feel a little more sensitive, a little more emotional in our communications and how we're receiving information, because that's Mercury in Cancer. It's very emotional. It's emotional speaker, somebody who's passionate about the way they speak through their emotions. So it's and it's soft. And then since the eclipses are in this year of the Cancer and Capricorn energies, it engages all of it, and Mercury will engage with that as well. And it creates like, how do I really need to make sure I'm taking care of myself, that I'm nurturing myself and my family. But that's the main theme of the eclipses, of the retrograde of Mercury in Cancer, and all of the other things that are going on. We really need to take care of ourselves and nurture ourselves and stay away from fear. Right. And that's the big piece too. It's like, so what am I afraid of? And news is going to sensationalize things. So don't watch the news. And, you know. Right.
Yeah, and it's okay to lean on people. It's okay to let other people into your life, to express yourself and to lean on them. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So we feel really, we need that nurturing and that comfort. And some people will have issues with family, the root of the family issues and the family concerns. But that's why the transits, that's just our focus with the planets moving where they're moving. Right. Saturn and Pluto are both retrograde, and the eclipses are right on them. And it's just...
So Mercury actually is helping us to slow down and look at things a little bit deeper.
Yeah, that's the best.
Be able to express them.
Exactly.
That's very good. I like that.
Yeah. So in the next one, so this one in Leo and Cancer, I just explained what that would be. And then let me find the next one, which will be at the end of the year. Looks like October 31st. It will retrograde in the sign, very, very end of Scorpio. So it will stay in Scorpio as a retrograde planet. Because this year, Mercury, with the exception of the little bit of Leo that we're in right now, this year, Mercury's retrogrades were mainly in the water signs. Again, with the exception of the Leo piece that we have right now, Mercury is retrograde in all of the water signs. It started the beginning of the year, it was in Pisces. Yeah. Now it's in the Leo, but mostly Cancer, and in again, the end of October into all of November, it will be in Scorpio. And so it is about us really going in deep and figuring out how, again, once again, to take care of ourselves. The water is motion. The water signs are emotion. How we're going to take care of ourselves and others and what we need for our own caring and nurturing.
And that's probably where people get in trouble, because they resist that and they try to stand on their own to fight and fight it, and instead of just relaxing into it.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, and even myself, I mean, I'm not a proponent of Mercury retrograde. I mean, I don't think needs to be super negative, but there are times when I'm like, do I really want to start this brand new project right now? Because it is so infused in culture now,
right?
That even as an astrologer, I'm like, well, maybe.
That's wonderful, but you know, that's something, and that's astrology, numerology. It's all about knowledge. If you have the knowledge, you know what is it wanting from you, then you can lean into it and get the most out of it.
Yeah, perfect.
That, and both modalities work together. They do work together. They have their similarities, but knowing, if you just know that things are slowing down, things, you need to go inside and be honest with yourself and honest with other people and express it carefully.
Yeah.
It should be pretty good. We should do all right.
You should do fine. And just, I mean, I know we're convincing ourselves, but the thing is like, just to feel, if you feel resistance against something that you're trying to do, then stop.
Right.
And I know
people don't understand that. Not everybody understands that.
This is true.
They keep resisting. It's just like a dog on a leash, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
He's trying to get off that leash, but it's not working. So it needs to.
It's exactly it. That's exactly it. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that's true for everything. And I know there are circumstances where it's not possible. You've got a job and you have deadlines and you absolutely have to push against deadlines, then you're going to do it. But then the job's not going to be well done, and you're going to have to redo it. Hence why Mercury retrograde seems like I have to redo everything, because we're pushing against it. And this is true in everything, though. That's the point. This happens all the time. There are just days when you are just not in the right place to do whatever it is that you're doing.
But don't you think when Mercury is in retrograde, it does intensify it a little bit? Yeah,
because you're supposed to be slowing down and you're still trying to push.
Yeah. Well, Dorothy, I thank you very much for talking with us. I can't wait to send this to the group, because I always get feedback, and when I get feedback, I'll send it on to you.
That's good.
We're always curious about different ways we could take care of ourselves and learn how to take care of ourselves. So I appreciate it, and we will talk to you at the end of October or November? October. To find out what Mercury's up to then. So
sounds like a plan. Thank you.